Number 41. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. As you approach the front desk, keep your gaze on the floor. Should your gaze wander, then you have already failed. At the desk, do not move or shift your gaze until the worker makes a sound, recognizing your existence. Without upturning your eyes, ask her for a being known as the holder of solitude. As these words leave your lips, a great gong will ring, shaking the very ground you stand on. Once the ring of the gong turns to silence, you can finally observe your surroundings. You'll find yourself under a strange sky in a vast and morbid wasteland, only a cold stone path leading towards the horizon. The instant you become aware of this lifeless wasteland, you must start moving, for they know you're here, and they will not take well to outsiders. Should clouds gather in the sky and darkness encroach on the path during your crossing towards the horizon, shut your eyes and kneel. No mortal has ever let his stare rest upon this world's inhabitants. As you kneel, you must plead. I do not know you, nor have I any wish to, but my path is here and I must follow it. After you have uttered these words, await their judgment. Should they choose to allow your presence, you will feel them retreating. Should they decide otherwise, then this was not your fate. Hope that they end your existence quickly. At the end of your path awaits the obsidian pillar. Perched upon it is an obsidian gargoyle, regarding your approach. The gargoyle will only stir to the sounds of one question: who shall perish? Once these words are spoken, the gargoyle shall descend upon you, and his wings will envelop you in darkness. There he will show you the lives of all human beings as stars in the darkness, and as stars you will watch them flicker and die. For eons you shall watch the deaths of those who came before you and those who have yet to come, and you shall experience their loneliness as you watch them die, sensing how utterly separated they were from each other. This shall continue until your sanity shatters, or until only one light remains. And so the gargoyle shall speak. Your end is not mine to reveal to you, and it is not what you seek. These words will echo inside your head until the day the task is completed. Once again, you must shut your eyes, lest you keep your gaze on the remaining light, and the gargoyle will devour you. As you shut your eyes, you'll feel as though you are being hurled through the dimensions, spinning endlessly until solid ground is only a vague memory. At that moment, you will be thrown to the stone floor, and it'll be as being born again, as returning into the light after eternities of darkness. Once you open your eyes, you will look around at a gargantuan withering ballroom, the crackled marble floor covered with dead leaves. At the far end of the room, you will see a light calling you. As you advance towards it, you will be able to make out something hung upon the wall, a dark kite shield, decorated with macabre symbols, the symbols seemingly alive and pulsating. You need only to take it off the wall to claim it. The moment the shield leaves the wall, you will be back at the front desk where the worker is staring at you intently. She knows what you have started, and she hates you for it. The shield you hold in your hands is Object 41 of 538. Pray that it can protect you from what is to come. Number 42. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or hospital and ask at the main desk for the one who refers to himself as the holder of the star. The worker will stare into your eyes with a smug look of content for several seconds. If he does not see your heart's resolve in your eyes, he will laugh arrogantly. If he does, flee, or guards will take hold of you and lock you in a cramped cell where you will hear the man's laughter in waking and sleeping as long as you live. If he sees the determination in your eyes, then he shall stand and guide you down the hallway. He will stop at the cell door and will hand you a key, saying nothing and walking away. With the key in hand, grab the handle and turn it slowly. It is now unlocked. Instead of a cell behind the door, this is a hall, dimly lit. Enter the corridor, and then close and lock the door behind you. As you walk down the hallway, you will hear the laughter of children playing, mixed with the heartwarming chants of foreign monks. Quickly, the laughter will turn to screams, and the chants to curses. As long as you hear these terrible noises, you're safe. But if your courage sways, and the slightest fear overcomes you in this corridor, the sounds shall stop. And if this happens, shut your eyes and pray that what hideous creature that just awakened will take your life in its first bite. If you survive this corridor, you shall reach a small locked door. The lights will dim around you until all you can see is the door. When all is dark, use the key you were given to unlock the door. Enter through the door into a small pitch-black cell. In the cell there is a hooded man in red robes. He holds a candle and keeps his eyes closed while chanting. He sits in the middle of a pentacle drawn in glowing red blood. The stench it produces will cause you to gag, but dare not do any more than that. Before the man is a smoldering rock. Do not stare at the rock directly for too long, for the burning from the rock shall envelop your mind and send your body into a fiery eternity. Instead, stare at the candle and listen to the old man. He responds only to one question: what must be done to complete their task? The man shall stop chanting, and will tell you 5 names and 5 questions. He shall inform you that you must learn on your own which matches with the other. He shall then dab his forefinger in the blood of the pentacle and will draw on the wall a formula. A key, plus a book, plus a quill, plus a word scrawled in a way that is illegible, yields an open book with 3 ovals drawn around it. He shall chuckle warmly and return to his seating place. He will hand you the still burning stone, and from behind his robe he shall pull out a still beating heart. With all your might, crush the organ until it no longer quivers. Inside the meaty mush, you will find an antique fountain pen. When you look back up, you will find the old man dead, with a look of serene content upon his face. Pay this man the final honor of closing his eternally glassy eyes and leave the room. He was the holder, and his looks deceive. If you are to touch him again, you will become one of the cursing monks for eternity. The darkness will sweep over you, and when it lifts, you will find yourself outside the hospital. You will find the pen to never require refilling of its red ink. Though the ink never stinks of it, you will realize that it is your blood that drains through the pen onto the paper. Should you ever allow this object to be destroyed, a horrific, slow death will befall you. As long as you hold this item, you will hear whispering chants in the back of your mind until you die or do their bidding. This pen is Object 42 of 538. It wills you to write in a cursed tone with your own blood. To do this is a folly. It is your choice to continue their work, or to destroy the chance of the objects coming back together ever again. Number 43. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the Holder of Earth. The worker will laugh loudly, drawing the attention of only one other patron. The worker will remain seated, but the person whose attention he drew will call you over. Do not ask him anything as he leads you to a disused broom closet deep in the asylum. He will open the door for you and wait for you to enter first. Do not do this, or the stairway inside the door will disappear and you will plummet endlessly through an ice-cold black. Instead, tell him, "I would not dare see these sights before you." If he believes you, he will nod slightly and enter, and you should follow him. If he does not, be thankful that you are deep enough into the asylum that no one can hear your screams. As you descend the stairway, you will hear beastly yells coming from all sides, but primarily from above you. Keep your eyes trained to the darkness below you, for the man will have vanished into darkness, though you will be able to feel that you are not alone. You must never look up, or the demons and hellspawn watching you, mocking you, will descend, rendering your flesh from your bones, draining your blood, ripping your muscles, and ensue all in too long of an instant. As you climb down, you will find the atmosphere becoming more and more tomb-like, and though you will still be able to hear the demons above, it will seem as though they are finally a ceiling overhead. You must still take the utmost caution never to look up. After an impossibly long amount of time, you will set foot on solid soft ground again. If the demons from the stairwell have stopped their yelling, you will not live to see the ground. If they have not, then you will wish they had, for now is your opportunity to ask the only question in which the darkness will respond. You must ask firmly, how can they be stopped? When you do, ghastly wails will emit from below you, though you will still be able to feel the ground. You will be able to sense the gentleman who led you here turn around. His eyes will pierce you, though you will not be able to see them. You must never look down or otherwise falter your gaze from the darkness immediately in front of you. The wails will continue, wordless at first, but a strong male voice will lead them into speaking in unison. They will tell you of the one thing that can prevent the result of the objects coming together, but it will be interlaced with every last consequence of doing so. They will tell you of the sky raining fire, of rivers running red with your blood, and they will tell you much more. When the consequences are finished, the lights will suddenly go on. The man who led you here will be gone, and in his place will be an object that you will not be able to see in this place, lest it drive you completely insane. You must close your eyes as soon as the lights come on, and feel around blindly on the floor for the warm, rough texture of the object. If you do not close your eyes, you will see that the ground is made of disemboweled human corpses, all missing their eyes, though their mouths still breathe. If you look at the sight and are not driven mad immediately, you will become one of them, joining the satanic earth. If you take the object successfully, though, you will be transported to the exterior of the asylum where you may open your eyes. The granite stone is object 43 of 538. Though you know how to stop them from coming together, you will not be able to. Number 44. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. Gaze at the ceiling with a bored expression as you walk up to the front desk, and with a voice that sounds like it is distant and indifferent, ask to see the holder of war. You will get a light tap on the shoulder. It is now safe to look down. The attendant will smile politely and begin walking, giving a speech that sounds almost mechanical as she describes the history of the asylum. Do not react to his speech. It is insanely bloody and filled with rather graphic descriptions. But reaction at this point means a one-way trip to hell. After some time of walking, you will come to an elaborately carved door, mahogany and gold. Stop in front of it. Keep your bored expression on your face, possibly adding a blank grin. But do not react as the worker grabs you by the back of your shirt, or he will change his grip and you will be without your head. The worker will pitch you through the door, and you will hear it slam shut behind you. You are on what might have once been fertile farmland, but is now a ravaged, blasted battlefield. Soldiers clad in two colors, a horribly bright, yet somehow stained white, and a filthy, sickening black, are battling in the most horrid manners possible, fighting with rifles, cannons, swords, bows, and all weapons of war that have existed since the dawn of time. Do not shrink from the battlefield, or the soldiers will notice you, stop their quarrels, and turn upon you with a ravenous hatred, for you are what they have been fighting over, and in their fevered, battle-crazed minds, that means that you are the cause of their bloodshed. Also, do not try to go back through the door. It has fallen flat in the mud, pushed over by the screaming infantryman wielding a bayoneted rifle. If you let him get the better of you, he will rip you to pieces in seconds, but somehow not manage to kill you. The pain of this experience will undoubtedly drive what is left of your mind mad. Instead, drop your bored expression and put on a grim, determined one on your face. Walk in measured military-style steps straight ahead until you see a 3-story structure of blasted concrete that might have once been a command bunker. Do not turn around while doing so. The armor has arrived to the fields, and if you stop or change your pace, the tanks will run you down. Once you've entered the bunker, do not give any notice to anyone who makes a request of you or tries to talk to you, no matter how desperate they seem. They each think that you're the enemy, and the moment you respond, you will be rewarded with a rifle to the face. Instead, go up the stairway in front of you to the second level of the bunker. As you mount the stairs, a crash will be heard behind you. That's the fire doorway ceiling as a flamethrower detachment attacks. On the second level, there is only one man, sitting at a desk yelling into a phone. The stairs to the third level are a mass of twisted concrete. The man at the desk wears the stars of a general, but does not seem to notice that the phone, as well as all of those on that level, are dead. Walk up to him, salute, and in your finest military voice, yell, "Sir!" He will snap around to stare at you. If he thinks that you are not worthy of his army, he will dismantle you with his hands and you will join him in his oncoming death. If he thinks you are worthy, he will nod and stare pointedly at you. He does not like slackers, so quickly ask him your questions. The only one he will respond to is, "Where do I go, sir?" He will tell you. He will tell you in such detail, such horrifying detail, that you will be tempted to strangle him. Do not try this. He is a far more experienced fighter than you could ever hope to be, and should you break salute, you will meet an extremely messy demise. When he's done, he will say, at ease, and hand you his pistol. This is your cue to drop salute. Take the sidearm and put it in your holster. If you didn't have one before, you do now. An explosion will suddenly decimate the far wall and atomize the general. Through the hole you will see on the horizon the long, thin shape of a missile rising. Shut your eyes tight and open them for nothing. The sounds of horrid battle will fade away until out of the silence a single gunshot rings out. Open your eyes. You're standing in the middle of a field of waving wheat. Somehow, you know that this is where the horrific battle you walked through will take place. And you also know somehow that you will be in the general's place. The pistol he handed you is Object 44 of 538. Learn how to use it. It has one magazine left. If you fire the last shot at the right time, you will avoid the fate of the general. If not, you will join him. Number 45. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. Storm up to the front desk with a look of rage on your face and demand to see a person who calls himself the holder of peace immediately. The attendant will recoil and ask you to speak softly. Do not comply with his request. If anything, speak louder, for the anger in your voice is all that keeps the chains locked on the door behind the desk. Keep the anger in your voice. The attendant will duck under his desk and point a quivering finger down the hall to the right that wasn't there before. Immediately, turn and stomp off down the hall. Do not look over your shoulder, for should the attendant catch you, and he will casually lean back and flip the lock off the door behind him. Walk until you find a door with a beautiful mother-of-pearl inlay design. Throw it open, but take the rage off your face immediately. The ones inside do not appreciate such anger. With a peaceful look across your face, enter. You are in a beautiful open-aired temple, with ivy curling up the marble pillars and beautiful mosaics embroidering the walls. The door will lock behind you. Do not try to open it, for it never will, and the monks in brown robes you see wandering about will do anything to get you to stay, even if it means your death. Wander around. No matter what language you speak, the monks speak it too. They're friendly, and all of them would love to chat, but politely decline. Tell them that you must speak to the head of the order. Eventually, you will be directed to a man sitting at a chessboard, the temple's abbot. The figure across from him is hooded and wearing armor. Do not attempt to speak to the hooded figure, or your death will be far worse than any vision of hell the man could conjure up. Instead, turn to the man in the now familiar brown robes. The game is one move away from checkmate. Bow, and ask nicely, "Why do they gather, Father?" He will open his eyes as if to speak, but the figure across from him will let out a demonic howl of rage and draw a sword. It is beautifully crafted, but seems somehow stained with an unthinkable evil. With a yell, the figure will kick you down and begin systematically slaughtering the other monks. They will try to fight back, but they have only staves, and the sword the madman wields is so sharp that it slices through the pillars like a knife through butter. As you're watching this, the abbot will make a final move in the game. The man in armor will swing around and then run at you with the sword upraised. If you were rude or did something wrong, you will be rent at an atomic level by the blade of the sword, and the pain will never cease. However, if you were polite, the abbot will step in front of you and jam the Black King into the right eye of the warrior. Pay no heed or sympathy as he falls to the ground screaming, or the abbot will whirl around and do the same to you with the White King. Instead, focus on the abbot who is now turning around to face you. He will tell you why they gather. It is a long tale, so fraught with bloodshed and horror that it may well snap your mind. But if you survive the telling, he will reach under the table with the chessboard and pass you a scabbard, richly jeweled and inlaid with gold. Though you have never seen it before, you instinctively know that it matches the sword the warrior was wielding a moment ago. Do not hesitate. Take it, walk over, pick up the madman's sword, wipe it and sheath it. Buckle it on as well. You will have need of it. Move to leave, but before you do, the good father will halt you and gesture towards the now unhooded face of the warrior. He was handsome, but pay no heed to that. The one thing you should be focusing on is the fact the Black King is gone. Look up at the abbot, who will nod and say one word: regicide. A flash of light will blind you, and when your sight returns, you'll be standing on the curb 2 blocks down from the asylum. Step back onto the sidewalk. You don't want to have an accident. The sword you now wield once belonged to the White King, and it is object number 45 of 538. The Black King is running from the scene of his murder, and the White King's sword longs for vengeance.